guys, I'm Dipankar. So like I'm mentoring the Intro to ML project as you already know. So मैंने देखा था कई लोगों को Python में issues and like they are not as proficient as project requires. So I've made a simple intro to Python. This is a quick revision or you can say a guide so that you can continue on with the project. You don't need a you don't need to be an expert in Python, but yes, a simple proficiency is required so that you know how to code things at what level and how to mitigate the programming challenges you will face in the future. Okay, so simply saying, Python is a language. And why is it so popular? Because it's so versatile. Like you can do anything ranging from web scraping to system deployment to simple data visualization to mathematical problem solving. You can do anything in Python. It's just that at specific problems, some languages are better than others, so we prefer them. Because let's say it's a system development or server development, C or C++ is better than Python. So many times it's used in that reference. Also in backend, sometimes Java is used because that is much more better in communications and error handling. Similarly, so the point of Python is to give you an intro and such that you can go into much deeper into data analyst as a profile or data analyst as a practical experience. Okay, so first thing that comes to my mind to a language is using libraries which are already been written. Like लोगों ने बहुत सारी libraries already लिख रखी हैं, ठीक है, तो हमें हर बार कोड करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, basic things, ठीक है. So how to use them, right? So first thing is importing, right? So I'll just I've made block snippets, ठीक है. So इससे पहले I would require that you have installed Python, Jupyter Notebook, and major libraries on your system such that you are in a working environment, right? May it be through Conda, may it be through pip, but you are in a working environment. And I would recommend greater than 3.7 or 3.7 plus kind of Python, such that you have no difference between the versions and there is no syntax conflicts. Like there are a lot of things which are absent in the previous versions and are present in 3.7 plus versions. Okay, so going ahead with it, we are here. So first thing is importing libraries. So basic libraries of Python are like import math or mathematics, like from where you can do mathematical function. NumPy it's like a array. It's like a library which supports array manipulations and its functions. Right. I'm not going deeper into this right now, but I'll post a different tutorial on NumPy and Pandas separately, which will help you. Another libraries can be import time. This is to measure time of the system. Imports OS. So whatever you command, whatever you type on your terminal or your CMD, right, in Windows. So that can be done through OS in Python, like directly. Okay. Another command is import sys. So interaction with the these are some of the very basic libraries. I won't be using these three for the time being. These three are very like fairly easy to understand. I will be going through just the basic Python syntax right now, right? So one way to import something, like import is just a keyword, so that you can just import that library full. Like each library is just, it's like a combinations of code, like written. There are specific codes written into them, and you are importing all of them together. That is import math. So I imported all of the functions present under math, right? Now import NumPy as NP. So many times we have to use these words like NumPy, math, these library names in our future codes, right? So rather than typing the full name, we can use shortcuts like import NumPy as NP. We can use anything like import NumPy as NY or anything. But you just need to remember that you won't be able to use other the same shortcut for any other keyword for any other variable, right? That is very important. Another thing is like when I don't want to import the full library. So let's say I have a very big library which is comprising of thousands of functions or hundreds of classes, like a lot of code, and I don't want to import all of that. Like why do I want to import that? So because when we are importing any library, it goes onto the memory of your laptop, right? So if you have an 8 GB laptop, you won't be like NumPy and Pandas are fairly small to say, but when you have an 8 GB laptop, you don't want to have a lot of memory just by consuming on the libraries, right? So rather than that, what happens is you can use from NumPy import zeros. So it can frankly just import this function that is required, right? So what does numpy zeros do? You can like search on Google. I'll tell you in the next tutorial. But it majorly, the concept is here is like you can just import a specific function or specific part of the code rather than having the whole library code together at one place, right? And it also helps to do some tasks again. Like let's say one thing that it helps is when you are running it, so you have an np, right? So either you write np.zeros, right? Or there is another thing called that you can write zeros, because I've already imported it here. So it can be written like a equal to np.zeros 1, 2, 3 and or zeros 1, 2, 3, right? Both ways work, and it's just that it's our way we want to define. So if you want to in which way you are comfortable with, right? So yeah, I should like let's not print like so. That's not for the time being. Yeah, so you can see this is A, which is basically the same thing, and like A and B are same. It's just the way we have called that and we have created it, it's different. So you don't need to go in. If you know np.zeros, what does it do, it's fine. If you don't know, I'll do it in a different tutorial. Now, sometimes in Jupyter Notebook or any other way, you need to install some other libraries. So sklearn is a very good example that you would be working with, and it's not installed currently, right? Like it's installed on my laptop, but I have not imported it. So another way to do that is pip install sklearn with a exclamation mark. So what does it do? It installs this library and also imports this in here, right? It also imports in Jupyter Notebook. So this is one of the ways that you can do, but I would not recommend doing this way because it is sometimes temporary. When you delete the Jupyter Notebook logs, or you are working with Colab, which is another tool for this kind of snippet running, then it will give you a problem. The better way is to just install through a CMD or Conda or pip, right, and then import here. Now going through a language. So first thing that comes to a language is hello world, right? How to print hello world, how to print anything in a language, right? So printing in Python is very easy. Print hello world or whatever you want to print in parenthesis bracket. This is like a simple English kind of thing, right? But there are also a lot of variations you can do with, right? You don't need, let's say you want to print some variables, right? A, B or anything, it can be 1, 2 or anything. So you don't need to specify any syntax. I know many of you are going through C and it has a specific syntax to it, like you need to define parenthesis S or parenthesis D to it, right? But here you don't need to do such things. Python does not have types in it, right? It can automatically convert to types, and that's the beauty of this language, right? It's a very beginner friendly language. So hello world, like, so if I do like, if I want to print AB, so you will have to be doing like this, then this in like exclamation like what do you call percentage S and percentage S in your C, but rather than that I'll just do a comma B to print hello world, right? Also if I'm in the similar manner right now, what does comma B do is basically adds a space to it, right? So in any two entities are there, let's say there is also a C entity, C equal to 3, right? And I'm doing like print a comma C. So what is expected is hello space 3, right? So when it will run, it will give you hello space 3. So comma just adds a space entity, add a space to all the entities present in the print statement, right? It can be anything, it can be as many as you want. Now hello B, that's a fairly simple thing, that you are attaching a predefined string to it, and you're just adding a space and B's world. So you can say there are two spaces here, right? So that is the whole concept of print. Another way is to use, like, you're not sure, like you don't want to add spaces, right? That is the thing. So there is also called format here. Format, what does format is, like C, it's basically you're giving that as a format to the print statement, that this is the statement and I want to substitute B here, right? So substitute here hello space curly brackets format B. So it goes from here to here and checks for curly brackets. As first as a curly bracket is found, it substitute B there. So hello world. So hello was already there with the space, and world is substituted here, which is the B, right? Now going ahead in the second statement, if you want, like, there are multiple curly brackets, right, and you want to know which curly bracket when to substitute, by default Python just goes from left to right and substitute as far as it can, right? So it will go here and substitute a normally, and then go here it will substitute b. But if I define some variable here, let's say a comma a or b, like it can be anything, let's say c or d, right? These are the simple variables I've taken, and I say that, like, format for c, like for the c you can say c bracket, fill a there, and for the d bracket fill b there, right? So I'm specifying what I need to fill there, right? So the answer would simply would be the same, but if I just change it, right now, let c, like c mein b dalo and d mein a dalo, right? So this is bucket filling. So we'll say that this is swapped. C goes to b, b is world, and you can say that hello, and it goes to d, right? So this is some of the tricks used in print statement. Next comes in list, right? So what does so Python is a language which supports a lot of inherent features. List is one of them, right? It's one of the vastly used feature. It gives you a functionality which you can change, manipulate, and helps to store the data together. It's basically an array, but a high version of array. In array you cannot do, you have to specify lengths first in C, as far as I remember. You have to specify lengths first, and a lot of things you cannot change. You have, the array have to be of same data type. In Python, there is a lot of functionality that it does not have to be the same data type. This is a number, this is a string, this is a complex number. So Python also support complex numbers inherently, like J represents for the I, right? So it represents a complex number. So so this is a very important functionality in Python, and it's used a lot of it will use a lot of in the future. So let's say print a0. That will give you the 0th command, right? A simple array kind of functionality, right? The 0th element, A18026. So next would be print a -1. What does -1 work? So Python has a functionality that it supports negative indices. When a negative indices is encountered, it just adds the length of the array, length of the list. So what happens is 0, 1, and 2, right? This is the indexes of this. But what if -1 is there? So it goes back 0, -1. So -1 would have been 2, because it would add just the length of the list, right? So -1 is add 3 is 2. So 1 plus 2j, it will be printed. Now you can do as many as you can take this index to as far as possible. Let's say -4, -7. It will give you the same number, because it will just continuously keep on adding the length to make it a positive index, right? Now array splicing. So I want some part of the array, but not the whole part. Let's say I want this part, right? What will happen? Can I take it, right? So one way is to do is like 1 is to, as I've shown, is to take it like this: 1 semicolon 2, 1 semicolon. Previously it was 2, but 1 semicolon will take the whole array, whole list from ITK to the end, right? Now, what does this mean actually? It means the starting index from where you are selecting the list, and it means the ending index till which it will give you the list. It will not include this element, right? So if I do 0 to 2, right, it will give me a list comprising of 1802226 and ITK. It will not give me this number, because although it presented 0 index, but it is excluded when we are using this type of notation. So you can see this got like excluded. Now you can change easily the elements. Like I change the second element to be like 0, 1, 2. Like this is the second index. I change the element second index to be DK, right? So as I said, you can just splice that, like 1 is to any element, right? So 1 is to, it means that all the array till infinite will be there. If something is absent, it will treat it like either the end or either the first. So here it is something the end, right? So all the elements which are starting from 1 would be printed, right? That would be, when we are doing, it would be ITK like DK, because we have changed this, right? We have changed it, so it is being printed like that. Another thing is, like when you are not specifying the first index, what would happen is like till this part it would be printed. Now we know that this is ignored when we have done this, right? 0, 1 is already only a print gets printed or gets stored. So we can imagine that even if Python Python by default adds 0 here, so it would be similar as this, right? As similar as this, right? So these are just shorthand notations you can specify. You can also use negative indices. It will be just as equivalent to adding the whole length of this list to it. So it would be 1:2. So 1:2 is like ITK. So these shorthand notations work very well, right? Now, another thing which is used to store a lot of time is like defining an empty list. Now, empty list can be defined as such as b equal to this, right? This is an empty list, and now you can use to insert or specify. I'll tell you, you can use a lot of like insert or append kind of things, but we will not go into that. What can be used in numerical analysis or numerical computation if you're not using NumPy or you don't want to use NumPy somehow, because you need to specify like many times you prefer a list over NumPy. So you can use like 0 into 3. This basically gives you a list of zeros 1 into 3 dimensional, right? So it is useful when you don't want to go into like defining more and more. It's just a shortened notation of defining a list in this manner. Now, what is length of B? So you have another list, right? Let's say any list, and you want to get its length, right? How many elements are present currently? So this is used to get its length, right? This you can use this in loops. You can use this in if else statement anywhere you want. It's just a functionality to give you the length of the list, right? So next comes the B part. What does B is? B is basically your B is like B. Sorry, it basically means that how can I store like another list? So I have got 3 elements in this B, right? And its length is 3. But I want to store them directly. I don't want, as we have seen, we can store one element by one, but we don't want to. We want to store them together. So what we can do, we will have a splice of this, right? That is 0 to 2. That will give me 0 and 1 element, right? And I will assign them 1 and 2. This is another list. So I'm basically taking a splice or a slice of the list, and I'm assigning them another list, and I'm printing it, right? So what will happen is that slice will get stored, right? 1 and 2 will be stored at these indexes, right? You can do this. Insert is basically another functionality, is basically inserting one element to B. This one represents the index, at which index you are inserting, and this is the element that you want to insert, right? So this is currently giving me 4. I can also do this like, let's say, right? Yes. So you can see like at the first index this has been inserted, right? Append is basically, it appends the number which is on number any element at the end of the array, at the end of the list. So let's say I want to insert like this, right? You can say, so at the end my credentials have been appended, right? So append means it will be added to the end of the list, right? Remove is basically a statement which removes the element at this index. So what does it do? So sorry, remove is a statement which removes like the element which is having this value, because 0 was there and I removed 0. So in the next list there is no 0 present, right? I can also do it like remove like this. So what will happen is this element, which is you need to specify an element, whatever element you want to remove, and this will be removed. Pop is a very different command. It pops the element at this index. So 1 was there at 0th index, and I used a pop, and it popped like the element at the 0th index. So these are some of the very basic commands of a list, right? This is a comments. Now in a language you need to have a lot of documentation. When you're writing a code, you have done with writing. Let's say you have written a piece of code. Now you can understand that code because you have written it, right? What happens to other people? They cannot understand what you have written fundamentally, because it takes time to understand a code. So comments are very useful in that case, and it is present in every language you go for, even if the basics HTML or JavaScript you go for, right? So hashtag is used for the comments, right? For a single line comment. For a multi-line comments, we use this kind of structure for like 3 times double quotes or 3 times single quotes, right? This is the time you can write anything you want, right? And this is very useful when you're writing explanation or any documentation for the code, right? So I guess I'll keep it here. So my idea was to make it a 15-minute tutorial about it. I guess I have made okay, so this part is remaining. Okay, no problem. So we'll go through that first. Another part of another beauty I would say of the list is that they can be used in this manner infinitely, right? So let's say you want to have specific you want to have a very shorthand notation of multi-dimensional arrays, and you want to store them by any integer or any specific value. So what happens is some numpy can go far as well, that it can store integer, it can go store floats. So what happens, you need to store a character, right? So for that part, it is very important that you have such shorthand notations, right? A into 3 into 2. So what does it do? It creates a simple list of A in 3 times, right? A simple list of 3 elements, and then it creates that 2 times, right? So it basically you can say 3 into 2 dimensional 2 into 3 dimensional list, right? So basically it's creating 2 rows and 3 columns, right? So it's used a lot of times when we are dealing with the arrays, or when we're dealing with characters or strings, right? If we are not dealing with them, numpy can be used, like float or integers. In that case, numpy can be used, but most of the time if you're dealing with this, I would recommend you to learn the shorthand notation. Length of C, as we're having multi-dimensional array, length of C will just give me the length of the rows, right? So these are 2 rows present, it will give me 2. Now if I want to have the length of that row, I need to go there and print the length of that. So first I am accessing the first element of C, that will give me the first element is this, the first row, and I will printing the length. The length of the first row is basically the number of columns, right? So a number of rows, number of columns. So it's just that. Now one of the great functionality of list is you don't need to add so you don't need to use loops to add to list. Add to list means append to list, right? So as I have 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6, these are 2 independent lists. It can be anything. It can be a string list, it can be a float list, it can be a object list or function list, it can be anything. But when we are adding these two, what happens is when we are adding is d plus f does not do mathematically addition, right? It just appends this list to this at the end, right? So when I'm printing it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is how this becomes a total list after the f is appended, right? Now another take to take care of this G, like another take to another take or another lesson to take from this list is they do not have the copying functionality, right? So when you have G equal to F, so usually when you do A equal to B, you understand that the whatever value stored in B stores in A, right? Whenever, let's say I am doing a simple B equal to 1 and A equal to B, right? So the value of B gets stored in A. Now I'm changing the value of B, or now I'm changing the value of A, let's say A equal to 2, does not affect the value of B because they are stored, right? This does not affect the value of B. But here you need to see that if I, let's say I have df already defined and I am taking G, right? G is F, okay? And I am changing the first element of G to be 1. So instead of 4, I am having 1, right? I think that F should not have an effect on that, right? But you will see that actually F changes here. That is a problem with lists, right? If you use this kind of shorthand, you can say initialization, that will give you a problem. Like assignment or initialization, this will give you a problem at the end of the day, right? So what you need to use is G is equal to D dot copy. Like I'm using now compare 1, 2, 3, and I'm creating a copy of it, a separate copy, right? The problem there was like it was not creating a copy here, it was just referring to the same list, so it was giving me a problem. But right now I'm forcing Python to make a copy of D and store that in G. So now when I'm changing 0th element to something else, it will not change my D list, right? So this kind of manipulation is important to keep in mind, because many times when you're dealing with the list, this gets changes a lot, right? And you need to see whether how the actual list got changed, and you need to change there and add a copy statement. So this is a very good thing to keep in mind. Now I think a lot of 15 minutes are over, so my idea was to make 15-minute videos such that it's not hard on you and not hard on me either. So if you have any comments or how can I improve this, I know like there's a background noise, I'm using currently my earphones, so If I'll try to have it reduced, but if you have any comments, how can I improve? So please tell me or message me on Discord or tell me in comment section, because I'll be following this. I'll be try to make one video per day for you to get enough skills in this course, right? Thank you guys. Thank you for being here. I'll post the second part of this quick intro to revision in the next video.